Hello guys, this is the Ibrahim Show. We're going to have a very quick podcast today. I'm going to try not to ramble too much, but today we're talking about phishing, more specifically why phishing exists and if we can get rid of it. We've also spoken with a cyber expert at a 3-letter agency to get more insight onto phishing and how we can get rid of it, as well as how we've gotten to this point. Just for a quick definition, when we're talking about phishing, we're talking about somebody acting as if they are authenticated to information that they're not actually authenticated to. A very quick example of this would be getting an email from the IT service desk at your local company, school, whatever it may be, clicking on the link and not realizing there was a malicious sender. And it wasn't actually the person you thought it was, right? And so the first thing we're going to get into today, guys, is how the advancement of technology has had a direct effect on phishing. And so you might ask yourself, it's phishing, right? So, how does the advancement of technology affect phishing, and what does that even look like? And so the first question you kind of have to ask yourself is, what do you think of when you think of phishing, right? It's usually your obvious, here's a $20 gift card to blank. Click on this link and I'll give you this amount of money. And clearly, I would assume at least, most people would look at that and go, that's too good to be true. I'm not going to click on that, But what we're seeing now is that there is now uses of AI in phishing. There's been increased uses of AI. The number of phishing attacks that use high-level technology has increased drastically. And the actual attacks themselves are not as simple as they used to be, right? And so we've had the Harvard Business Review confirm that there's been an increase in advanced phishing technology used in phishing emails. We have examples of people using LLMs to create phishing emails. AI, as I mentioned before, just a couple of weeks ago, we had Russia admit to launching more phishing attacks, or sophisticated in their words, specifically towards US, European, and Russian civil society members. We've had Cisco recognize 4 different and new phishing techniques with examples of how they work. We've had a lot of this stuff documented, and a lot of it is very sophisticated and not like anything we've seen before. And so when you look at the number of attacks observed, so let's just talk about the number of attacks. In 2019, there are about 800,000 attacks observed per that year. In 2022, more than 3 times of that. So we went from 800,000 to close to 5 million at 4,744,000 attacks observed. And so more phishing attacks are happening because the advancements of technology allow us to target more people in a specific affiliated group. And the actual phishing attacks themselves have become more dangerous. The links you're clicking are more dangerous, right? As well as identifying that there is a malicious sender has become more difficult as well. And so we're going to get into the next one in a little bit, but we're going to have an ad break and I'll be back with some more information, guys. And so the second thing we're going to talk about today is the direct access that clicking a phishing link gives a malicious attacker. When you think about cyber attacks, most of cyber attacks stem from trying to get into a system. And so the harder part of that is trying to bypass firewalls, right? And so we're going to get a little technical here, but you're trying to bypass firewalls, you're maybe doing a man-in-the-middle attack. You're doing things that allow you to get into the network. It's like you have a castle and the front door is locked, so you're trying to find different ways to get into it, right? What happens when you click a phishing link is basically you open the front door and you say to yourself, oh no, I hope I didn't open the front door and nobody came in, right? We have evidence that clicking a phishing link may instantly transmit your location and device information to the malicious actors. They might be able to target you with location-based scams now, or commit other types of cyber crimes. But when you're giving an attacker direct access to information, you're giving them more to work with, right? And so you're almost doing the bulk of their work for them at that point. And when you do click on a phishing link, not only can malware download on your computer, and now they can steal your personal information. If you click on a phishing link and they happen to get even more personal information, now you're dealing with identity theft. They can get compromised information. And so one of the last things you want to do is click on a phishing link. And attackers know this. So when they get you to click on the phishing link, they know as soon as you click on that link, the bulk of their work is done for them. And so why would I go through the entire effort of trying to get into a system when I can trick someone who's not paying attention to give me that access anyway? And so there's multiple studies that show what happens when you click on a phishing link. NordVPN recently did a complete overview of what happens when you do click a phishing link that shows all of this stuff. And even more, it makes you vulnerable to the things I've said before. Aura.com has basically said the same, that your location and device statistics are immediately transmitted to whatever the malicious actor intended. And so, and so that ease of access makes it very easy for attackers to want to do that. And so we have one more ad break, guys, and then we're going to get into the last topic of the day. And lastly, guys, our last topic I think is the most important, and that is the human element. And so when you think about cyber attacks, the older cyber attacks are not viable because we've upgraded our technology to the point in which we can defend against those old attacks, right? But when we have attacks that exploit the human behavior, those things don't change over time very easily. And so it could be the case that phishing will always exist because of the human element, the gullibleness, the greed, maybe the carelessness. There always exist just because of that human element. And so we spoke to an expert from a 3-letter agency, of which I cannot discuss right now. And so I asked her specifically what she thought the increase in phishing attacks I specifically asked what she thought the main causes were behind the increase in phishing attacks. Firstly, she got on my case, but she essentially said that she didn't like the way the question was worded, because phishing has always been prominent because of the human element of individuals, right? And so she was explaining that the only thing that's changed is the amount of people communicating using email, and that security measures will always be, for the most part, good. And the unpredictable aspect of this computer network security are always going to be the human elements, and attackers realize this, right? So I don't think this is something that's going to just disappear. And as long as we exist and technology exists, this stuff will always happen.